Welcome to today's video, where I have the pleasure of introducing one of the featured applicants for the 2022-2023 match cycle, Nishitha. So today she'll be giving us a little bit of an introduction on who she is, how she ended up applying, and what her goals are. So Nishitha, can you give us some background on where you're from and where you started your medical journey?
For sure, yeah. So hi everyone, my name is Nishitha and I'm a graduate from Kamini Institute of Medical Sciences. I was born and brought up in Hyderabad, India. So a little bit about my USMLE journey so far. I actually took my OET first and then I took my step 1 and I'm currently preparing for step 2 CK. So the order, so if I have to go in detail about the whole journey, I'll have to start with January of this year, where I did my clinical rotation at University of Alabama. I did a consultation neurology elective, and then I gave my OET during the elective. And after I finished my clinical rotation at Alabama, I went to Johns Hopkins for a research elective in neurology again. I'm a neuro applicant, by the way. So Feb and mid-March, so it was a total of 6 weeks, I did my research elective. And it was a remarkable experience. It was truly a remarkable experience. I absolutely loved my time at in Baltimore, exploring everything. And so mid-March, I finished my elective and I flew to Atlanta. I stayed with my aunt for a while, and I prepared for step 1. So that was my dedicated. So I only had 15 days of dedicated. My pre-dedicated was last year, and I gave my exam end of March. And immediately after the exam, the next day I flew to Seattle for a neurology conference. It was a very good experience. I got to meet a lot of medical students, residents, fellows, and program directors. It was a lot of fun, and I stayed in Seattle for the whole month because my brother stays there. And end of April, I flew back to India. I finished my rotations in my country, and I graduated. And I'm currently preparing for step 2 CK. So that's the whole story.
Amazing. And why did you choose the US for continuing your medical education?
So I can't really pinpoint on one thing and say this is why I'm doing it, but it's actually a lot of factors. So it's a perfect mix of the excellent teaching, the clinical and research opportunities. There's always enough for everybody that's coming in. And I think that's the beauty about doing your residency in the US. And I'm also interested in neurology. That's neurology with an N, not a U. A lot of people get confused. So, and for neurology, when I got to know that it was a residency subject instead of a fellowship, that like how it is in my country, I was sold. It was a slam dunk. So it was because I get to do more years of what I love. At neurology as a residency really attracted me. So I decided to do my residency in the US.
And as we know, you're very active on social media. So how did you end up starting your Instagram account and your social media? How did you end up deciding to help other IMGs?
All right. So my page is called the Indian IMG. For the lack of creativity on my part, because I'm an Indian, I'm IMG, so the Indian IMG with very little effort. It started off as a page because I wanted to bring awareness among medical students of all the research opportunities that you can get as medical students. And then I transitioned it into a guide for applying to electives, observerships, getting your LORs, and then the dean's letter and all of that. I put out a lot of sample personal statements, and that's how it all started. And now I think I've transitioned it into a sort of a meme page for USMLE. But there's a lot of information. Still, if you just scroll down on my Instagram page, you will get a lot of information pertaining to electives, observerships, and research opportunities for medical students.
Yes, I think it's very helpful and informative for anyone going through this process, and it's very relatable. So I think that's what people love. We're going to be checking in with you throughout the application process, but right now it's just about midway past June. What's coming up next for you in the application cycle, and what are you getting ready right now?
So right now I'm stuck at the most boring part of the journey. I'm doing step 2 CK, I'm doing New World every day. So that's where I am right now. And I hope to give my step 2 by the end of August, so I can be ECFMG certified by September 28th. I'm also working on my personal statements, getting my MSP ready. And I think when June 28th, when ERAS opens, I think I should email all my letter writers for the LORs. So that's how it's going. It's UWorld, getting my MSP, my personal statement.
Yeah, you're at the end of the tunnel, I would say.
Yeah.
Getting past step 2 is definitely going to be the most rewarding part of it. So any parting words for anyone who's watching this and about to start their residency application process?
For sure, yeah. So one advice I have for all the USMLE applicants is don't pause your life just because you're doing your steps. Realize you have a life beyond medicine, and try to find a perfect balance between both of that, because one day you're going to look back and you don't want this whole journey to be a blank. You want it to be filled with fun, and I know steps is tough. It's in fact one of the toughest exams you've given, but realize that you can balance both of that at the same time, pursue your hobbies, do everything along with your steps. So and I think if you can find the perfect balance, you will make it, and I'll see you on the other side.
That's great advice. That's really good advice. So that comes to the end of our introduction video with Nishitha, and we'll be checking in a few weeks to see how you're doing, probably after your step 2. So thank you so much, and we look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.